The principles of art are the tools to plan and organize an artwork. So once you've learned about the elements of art, which are like our building blocks of what we use to create a work of art, our lines, shapes, forms, texture, value, color, and space, now we need to understand how we put all of those elements into an artwork. What do we do with those elements of art and to create the best artwork possible? So there are 7 principles of art, and our first principle of art is balance. So balance is all about the distribution of visual weight in an artwork. It's about how we place everything and understanding that everything has visual weight. So everything you add to an artwork has visual weight. It might be lighter or heavier in visual weight, and it depends on the size, the value, and the color of that object or that thing that you're adding. So if we were to add something here to this artwork, that inherently has some visual weight to it. And where we place all the things in our artwork can make it balanced or not balanced. So if we added these 2 circles to our artwork here, we can see that the circle that's larger over here is going to have a heavier visual weight than our smaller circle. But these 2 circles are the same color, they're the same value, so definitely it's the size that makes it have a heavier visual weight. If we were to change the value, now our largest circle here is a lighter value than our small circle, which more balances out these 2 circles because it being a lighter value makes it be lighter in visual weight than our darker value over here. Um, but we still have a nice large circle, so that size still plays a role. So looking at these 2 circles, I would say that still our smaller circle, because it's so much darker in value, is actually a heavier visual weight. So if we made this larger circle even larger, then we can start to balance that out, and you can see how those start to kind of become more balanced and equal in visual weight. And if we went back to our larger dark one but made the other small circle smaller, but then darker in value, so we're making it all the way black, as dark as it can be, because it's so small, it still is lighter in visual weight than our larger circle, even though it's darker in value. So it all kind of just depends about how big or how small, how dark or how light those objects are that you're adding to your artwork. We could, of course, add more of those little circles, and then we'd be able to see that now they start to become more balanced. So our darker circle over here becoming more balanced with the lots of small circles on the other side, the opposite side. If we're talking about color, so we can see that color also plays a role in balancing out our composition. So brighter colors like this bright blue of this larger circle is definitely heavier in visual weight than lighter colors like yellow and other light colors, sometimes orange if it's not too bright, things like that. So we want to be aware of the colors that we are using in our artwork and making sure that they are also balanced. If we turned this blue into a cyan, so a lighter blue, now we can start to see that these become more balanced again. And then if we wanted to make these circles darker, then we get another view of this balancing happening where uh, now the visual weight is over here. The heavier visual weight is over here. So there are 4 different types of balance. So we're going to talk about all 4 of them. The first one is symmetrical. So one way that you can create a balanced composition is by putting the same thing, equal weight, on both sides. So here we have a painting by Diego Rivera. This is called Flower Day or Dia de Flores. And we can very clearly see that there are equal weight on both sides of this composition. We have these 2 figures in the foreground, well, the mother and the child on one side, and then this woman on the other side, and they're about the same size. They are the same colors, so we can see that they very clearly are equal in visual weight. And to tell that it's symmetrical, if we draw a line Down the middle of this artwork, we can very clearly see that on either side it is very, very similar. So not only is this figure in the background here definitely symmetrical, right, with this, I think it's a bow of some kind stretching across, and then of course the lilies all on both sides. But with this particular artwork, it is also symmetrical the other way. So if we added another cross section across here, we can see that the white of the lilies balances symmetrically with the white of the shawls here, and the clothing of the women in the foreground. So lots of wonderful symmetry in this painting. Our second type of balance is asymmetrical. So the opposite of symmetrical is asymmetrical. So both sides are different, but they are balanced with equal visual weight. So we're looking here at a Hopper painting. Edward Hopper, very famous painter, American painter, mostly worked in the like early 1900s, 1930s, and 40s. This is a famous painting called Nighthawks, done in 1942. So we can really clearly see that most of our visual weight is on the right hand side of this painting. We're really curious about these figures. Our eye goes there right away. We've clearly got lots of bright light contrast from the dark around it, and that definitely gives us a lot of visual weight on this side of the artwork, but it is still balanced. So we have the ways that it's balanced is that on the street here, we've got this lighter color that it helps balance out the lightness on this side. We also have this shadow and the store over here that helps. This is the same color and value as this person's clothing over here, so that starts to balance out. Also, the reds of this building up here balance out the reds and browns that we see on the counter. So those kinds of choices that this artist is making, that Hopper was making, was very intentional to make sure that this was not an unbalanced composition, that we really used all of the space and making sure that everything sort of fit and made sense, and had uh, gave us a sense of being able to explore this other part of the artwork, even though there is less visual weight over here, it still equals it out, balances it out. Third type of balance is radial balance, and this is where the design radiates from a single point. So we can see here in this Alma Thomas painting that it's called the eclipse, so it's very similar to the sun, right? Radial, we might think of the radius of the sun and the rays of the sun. So any pattern or design that goes around a radius, then that's a radial pattern. And if it's the same all the way around, then it's called radial symmetry. So you might think of like a mandala pattern that is definitely radial symmetry, and other forms of patterns like that. So this painting by Alma Thomas is definitely a radial has radial balance because it goes all the way around in a circle and it just radiates outwards. And then the last type of balance that we talk about is called all over balance. And that's just where the visual weight is distributed equally throughout the artwork. So, just for example, in this Pablo Picasso painting, this is one of his most famous paintings called Guernica. It's a very, very large painting, 25 feet long, 11 feet high, and it was painted to be a mural in response to the bombing of the town of Guernica during the Spanish Civil War. And so we can see here that although it is black and white and grayscales, the values are distributed really evenly and very intentionally so that it is a balanced composition. So we can see that the darkest values are spread throughout the whole artwork, as well as the lightest values are also distributed throughout the artwork. And that was really intentional so that our eye can easily travel around this painting and start to kind of explore all the details and the different things going on. All right, that is balance.